In March of 2020, the world was faced with a pandemic that shut down our way of life. CYC's core values led us to adjust and adapt our services to meet the new and pressing needs.
And all of these values are super important to our agency. And we continue to train staff that have been here for X amount of years to kind of remind them, like, this is our secret sauce, people.
These values are all about becoming and being the best selves that we can be and embracing the journey that takes to become that. We can be empowered in ourselves and who we are, then we can empower our youth to be themselves and the best themselves that they can be.
At the beginning of the pandemic, there were signs that anti-Asian hate and violence was increasing.
This latest incident involving an older Asian man being attacked and bullied has outraged thousands online, and the city is now responding.
He himself went out to pick up empty bottles and cans every week, every day. And he made a lot of good friends from the African American community, even save up cans and bottles for him. So he said, I want to build a relationship. I want the two perpetrators to be responsible and make changes. So he insisted that he will not press charges. I read every donation, responses, and feedbacks. It really touched my heart. And it reminded them of their grandfather who came here to pick up cans and bottles to support their education. Is that great?
When shelter-in-place was enforced, CYC staff stepped up to volunteer at the Chinatown YMCA food pantry, making sure to keep those most vulnerable safe and fed.
My grandpa, he used to go to the food pantry in Visitation Valley, 7 o'clock in the morning. Life is not easy for immigrant families, and we all know that.
So Chinatown is where I grew up, and every night when I get home, I will see my neighborhood looking for leftover in the garbage can, so I always wonder what can I do for them.
So I feel like I can see both the smiling face from us and the people who receiving the food, and it's a good connection with the people in the community too.
Even though my mom is scared and afraid of the COVID, but it's definitely worth it for me to help out in the food pantry.
The Immigrant and Family Relief Fund started in April to support 750 families with over $1 million worth of aid in the form of gift cards.
And so we decided that in order to help more families, we changed the eligibility just a bit. And all of a sudden, you would just have families just flooding in from 2 or 3 families to an entire community. And I think that was just eye-opening to see that there are so many families who really need it.
Bayview was one of the distribution centers. It was so inspiring to see people bringing in their kids. You can tell that they've been very stressed because they did not know what to do next. A lot of them couldn't even afford paying the rent. We were so glad that the fund came in and we were able to help those families out.
In May, Valerie Hoshino, the principal of Moscone Elementary and Las Americas Children's Center, saw that their most needy families were heavily impacted by the pandemic.
I oversee 3 different schools. They're in communities where it's low income, and so it's really hard for families. A lot of students and families are not documented, and they're immigrants, monolingual. And so during the pandemic, they really suffered a lot. And it was only going for maybe a day or two. I was like, whoa. So it was an exciting feeling, and a feeling like, yes, if we can rally this community together, look at all the things that we can do to support one another.
CYC's Youth for Community Engagement program, made up of over 400 youth volunteers from 9 public high schools around the city, provided air quality program, disaster preparation education, and digital tablet class to seniors in their communities.
When I'm teaching my parents technology, I get very frustrated, so easily. And then attending this tablet class for many times, I got more patient with my parents.
Through that, helping the senior, we actually can learn a lot from that. And they maybe feel lonely at home, and we could help them feel like, oh, someone is care about me, so it's a very good feeling.
我哋好中意，好喜歡呢個班啊！我好多謝我哋嘅義工啊，嗰個老師啊，個幫我哋。我哋年紀係要咁大，但係我好努力想學到， 譬如係 TikTok 啊，我都想學㗎咯。
我都有個女準備讀大學，即係啱啱高中畢業。因為我女嘅溝通唔係好多，因為佢同我有啲隔離高中生嘅了解咁，模仿一下咁樣，睇佢哋啲思想啊，嗰啲學嘅知識係點樣咁。
Like you will be very proud of yourself when you see you can help the senior and see the smile on them.
Every year, CYC runs robust in-person summer camps for elementary, middle, and high school youth. When the pandemic was still prevalent in the summer, CYC provided free summer camps through a completely virtual platform.
Our theme during summer camp was around the world in 6 weeks. So we really took that to heart. We went to places like the Eiffel Tower in Paris. During the second week was when we went to Antarctica. We had the students dressed up as a spirit day, where they would wear really fuzzy coats or, bring in their blankets. But I think planning as a team, making sure that we're taking that critical feedback as the core value from the staff. So I think that really helped us pivot.
We wanted to make a lot of our enrichments and programs relevant to what our students wanted to see. For example, like skateboarding, we would have an instructor, Mr. Sean, he would do tricks on camera for them, and they would learn about, different skaters who are queer, who are, women skaters. At the end of the summer, I was super proud of our team. It's crazy to see that, we started off with maybe 5 students joining us every single day virtually to 80 students who are really pumped up to join us.
During the height of the Black Lives Matter protests and the increase of xenophobia against Asians, CYC youth continued to amplify their voice and speak in support of social justice issues that are important to them as a future generation.
So the Stand Together campaign, we shared our experiences throughout the pandemic and also discussed topics centering racism and discrimination towards the API community and also the Black community. I feel like our discussions really highlighted the importance of our communities uniting during a hard time like this.
So when I did perform that spoken word, it was the first time I've ever shared a poem with anyone, and it was in front of a lot of people, so that was a little nerve-wracking. And I just remember reading it out loud, and I just felt that feeble, timid demeanor of mine melt away, and it just made me a lot more confident in my own opinions and my own thoughts.
So my artwork, I drew a stereotypical looking Asian male. He had the weird fuzzy hair, he had the eye bags. He was in the center of the frame, and there were these speech bubbles coming out of the side, and it was just kind of intruding on his space, seeming like he was being trapped by these words. So that's what I wanted to depict, that you're supposed to live up to these standards, and if you don't, you're just why are you even this race if you're not going to live up to these expectations?
CYC also partnered with Beyond Differences to launch the campaign Stand Up for AAPI Youth during COVID. The nationwide campaign called for educators to adopt a curriculum to teach youth about different cultures and to value them in efforts to create acceptance. The campaign reached 1,200 schools in 49 states.
And Know Your Classmates is a transformative social and emotional learning curriculum. And sadly, this year over COVID, we've seen a rise of hate crimes and bullying happening to the Asian American and Pacific Islander. And so we were fortunate to partner with CYC, and it has been an amazing partnership. They brought their youth leaders and we brought ours, and together our team leaders helped to write the curriculum.
When I was writing the curriculums with a partner, it made me realize how important it was to have different voices. Because what I think is common sense might not be common sense for other people. One of the themes were allyship. During this time, it's really important to be an ally for students, especially AAPI students. Currently, a lot of people think that people learn to hate, but I think we can start shifting that narrative. People can also learn to love, and people can learn to love at a young age too.
I also interviewed Hudson Yang, one of the stars of Fresh Off the Boat. Listening to his personal experiences was surprising because he's also experienced violence too. And that also just normalizes how these experiences are universal and can happen to anyone.
From September to December, CYC partnered with various community members and agencies to continue providing services to different communities. In September, CYC surprised the St. Thomas School with 50 new laptops after their laptops were stolen from their school. In October, CYC brought the spirit of Halloween to Chinatown with a festival that included a pumpkin patch, live painting with a local artist, poster and video contest, and line dancing from Line Dance Me. And December was a busy month. CYC teamed up with Tony Lau, the owner of K Elements, to distribute 150 hot Korean meals to residents in Bayview. In collaboration with Helen Ruan, the sister of the late Stephen Ruan, CYC helped distribute 300 blankets, which Stephen collected himself to fulfill his wish to give out the blankets to the most needy. CYC held a fundraiser with Aptis Middle School and raised $8,500 in the form of gift cards to distribute to families in most in need for the holidays. Because of the pandemic this year, CYC wasn't able to take the youth holiday shopping at Target through the SF Sheriff's and You Foundation. Instead, $20,000 in Target gift cards were distributed to needy families, and another $5,000 in grocery gift cards were also distributed thanks to the SF Sheriff's and You Foundation. Our Community Hub initiative became a top priority to address the learning loss and difficulties faced by students who had difficult challenges learning virtually.
So here at the Hub, me and Elfie are in communication with their teachers. So we're all in the Google Classroom, we're talking to teachers, we're texting them like, hey, there's this, all their assignments done, do this. And we have heard a lot of really great feedback from teachers that like, hey, this student caught up in this class, this student has an A in this class now, and we're so excited to give them an A.
We do provide healthy meals. We also provide enrichment, like arts and craft, we do exercise, we do sports, team building games and activities. So I think those are all important aspects for youth development and their growth.
For me, it's always gratifying seeing the work that I do, how it impacts the community. And I'm very thankful to be part of a team that puts safety at the most forefront for our program.
In February of this year, the anti-Asian sentiments continued to rise, leading to increased violence against the Asian community, many of whom were elderly. CYC saw this as a potential issue early on and knew it would require a large community effort to address it. In response, Chinese for Affirmative Action, Chinese Progressive Association, New Breath Foundation, and CYC launched the Coalition for Community Safety and Justice.
We decided that we wanted to address this proactively, starting with making sure that victims and survivors of violence and crime get the holistic support that they need to really heal and to recover from traumatic incidents.
We do about outreach, and we want to go on the street. We educate the people, teach them how to advocate for themselves. We support them to make the police report. We support them to do whatever they need to fix. And beside the resident, we also reach it out for a merchant as well. We want to bring everybody together, man. And the other piece is victim services. A lot of victims don't know what to do after the incident happened. They get lost, they got traumatized, they're scared. As an Asian, when I got over here, back then, when my family got attacked, I wish that somebody come to me like, hey, Henry, man, let me help you to make the police report. Well, we ain't got that back then, man. So now we have this. People need to build a relationship with each other, love each other, respect yourself, respect others.
So just thinking about this year during the pandemic, I think we wouldn't have got through it without the community of people. Being able to work with other organizations and communities and say, hey, we're going to support this cause because they need it. So let's do it. And it's just been a really awesome feeling to see all of these people get together to help in need in times of this huge challenge that we're all facing in life. It's rewarding, and it's good to know that we'll be okay and we're all going to make it, and we just have to work together.
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 Together.